Hey everyone, welcome to the 517th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patrons Leaps and Sesk Machine. I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt Enlow. Talk about great Patreon names, huh? That's excellent. Today it's a Matt and Oren episode. It's been a while since we've done one, and people, when we see people at the shows, people reach out, they say, hey, I actually like those episodes. And so I thought, well, heck, let's do one real quick. We've got a slew of awesome guests coming up, a couple themed months coming up, some parties coming up. There's a lot coming. So I thought, let's go ahead and let's sneak in a quick Matt and Oren episode, because I think it'll be a minute before we have one.
Yeah, you're going to learn some great stuff in upcoming episodes. So we wanted to make one episode where you learn nothing.
Yeah. I haven't looked inside my navel for a while, so let's do a navel gazing episode.
Yes. I am in San Diego right now for a job, and as I was driving down here, I called you and I said, what should we talk about? And then, in usual Oren style, it devolved into me complaining about things. But for once, which I really appreciated, you kind of, joined along.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would call it complain, but you commiserated.
Yeah. I've got my share of complaints for sure. I think, I think that it's always in ebbs and flows. I think you like to complain more than I do.
Well, yeah, it's a culture. Your response usually is, shut up.
It's not that. You do complain when things are good, and you complain when things are bad.
Yeah. When else would you complain? When things are just fine?
Yeah, when things are in between. Yeah. So I think we're both are just thoughtful about where we are in our careers, what's going on, and I think it's probably pretty relatable right now. Some people are working, some people aren't working. It's the beginning of March. So, Oren, you're on a couple things. I've got stuff lined up, but right now I feel like I'm kind of treading water. And so I think we've referred to this as website season historically.
When you work on your website.
This is the time to work on your website.
Yeah.
I have thought about redoing it. In fact, actually, it's on my list. But I think we were just kind of going through all of the other aspects of the things that we do when we're feeling a little untethered, why we're feeling untethered, how to focus in on what's important and work through the things that are going to make us feel better as people and also career-wise. Yeah,
and remembering that we don't have to always be filmmaking, and sometimes going away from that is helpful, in all aspects of life. Not just balancing who we are in our mental health, but also our career. And it's funny, you said we're talking about what's going on in our careers, but I kind of feel like it's less a moment of where we are in our careers and just literally a moment of what's going on this week,
Sure. I think that might be right.
It's more of a micro than a macro thing of this pitch is weird and this job is weird and this thing is weird. And,
I think you're making me realize, I think we were both pretty busy for a while. The holidays slowed down for sure, but you're busy with family stuff and just holiday stuff. But I think we both had been on a streak where both of us were pretty busy, And you're literally on 2 jobs right now, and I have something. I was just on something, and now I'm headed into something else in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, but I should be on that.
So, but it still makes you crazy. Do you know what I mean? It still makes you you're still. I think we're, as we talk about, workaholics.
Yeah. Perhaps. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy this episode. If you don't, that's totally fine. Matt cares.
But if you do,
totally fine with it. But if you do, what you do?
Consider hopping on over to patreon.com/justshootitpod. It's a place where you can throw us a buck or two. It does keep the show going. I just was checking on it the other day. It is a little bit lower than it was.
Been waning.
Yeah, it's been waning. So if you're on the fence, do us a favor, hop on over and help us out, because we've got a new show that we just recorded a pilot episode of.
Video show.
A new video show that's in the works. Things are growing. We've got another party planned. I've got it on the calendar for late spring. Looking like May is probably the one we'll do it.
Yeah, why don't we just schedule that puppy?
The reason that we haven't scheduled it, Oren, is because it is the culmination of 2 themed months of programming.
Oh, right. And I'm not sending the emails to the people that I need to send emails to.
50% of the emails have not been sent.
Yes. Okay, it's my fault.
That's the reason why, if you want to be put on blast on the podcast. But That's because the guests are going to be really good. And also, frankly, we've got a lot of really awesome indie filmmakers coming up too soon too. It's festival season, and so people's movies are coming out, and they're promoting a lot of really cool stuff. I think the next 3 or 4 months of this show are going to be pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah,
it'll get worse again. Don't worry, but for the short term, it's going to be great. So
Patreon.com, just shoot about it.
That's right. That's right.
Someone just sent me
and then we're going to have a party.
Yeah. Someone just sent me a DM on Instagram saying, "Hey, Oren, I'm hoping you can give me some advice if you've got a minute." Damn it. This person better be a patron.
They better be a patron.
I'm going to be giving out advice.
I'm going to ask the group, and then we're going to get into the episode.
Yeah.
The 2 themed months are going to be really especially exciting for commercial people, like people who are interested in commercials, more than indie film or any of the other stuff that we cover. Should we do a panel, or should we just make it a hangout? Is the question. Because we'll have had 8 awesome guests from the commercial world that we could ask
to come be on a panel.
To come do a panel, yeah. And then you hang out with them afterwards. Or we could just invite them to the party and maybe they'll come, maybe they won't come.
Yeah. I can't remember when Jacob, my old manager, came to be on a panel. Or I don't think he was even on the panel. He just came to an event. We had a panel we put together.
Yeah.
And,
but you did while we said hi to him, then we were doing the show, and you said, "That's Jacob, my manager." And he had said on the show that if you email him, he will look at your materials.
Oh,
he said that on the show. And we only recently did we stop getting emails from people who were like, "Hey, can you put us in contact with Jacob?"
Yeah.
So this was much
years and years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, enjoy the episode. We'll talk to y'all later. Let's say if 1,000 people get, I'm sure it'll way more than 1,000. If 1,000 people at Warner Brothers lose their jobs, what percentage of them do you think stay in the film business?
It's going to be way more than that. It's going to be tens of thousands of people. They're looking to cut billions of dollars. So it is going to be way more than 1,000 people, first of all. But
like when that stuff happens, there aren't enough jobs for like development people and assistants and office, and like business affairs and lawyers and stuff in the rest of Hollywood. It's not like everyone's like, Netflix is like, "Ooh, thank God we have all these development people available."
I think
what happens to everyone?
There are the types of jobs that I think there's some buoyancy. I think business affairs actually is one. And like maybe you aren't doing deals for Warner Brothers anymore, but like lawyers are relatively employable, though we have a glut of lawyers as well, right? I think our generation, lots of smart kids were like, well, I would like to be rich, so I'll become a lawyer.
JD. Yeah.
But I think when I was at Comedy Central, I remember looking around and seeing, an office full of people about my age, like there were assistants and there were people who were kind of like junior executives and that type, right? And then the closer to 40 you got, the fewer people there were. And then the people north of 40, I can name on 1 or 2 hands, and they were VPs and presidents. So like very clearly the base of development is young people, and the older you get, the fewer jobs there are. And so I kind of was like, wait, I think you turn like 35, maybe 40, and like either you become a VP or president of something, or you move to a different industry. I was seeing that happening without the consolidation of streamers. Like when the industry was healthy, I saw that happen, and was one of the reasons why I was like, I don't think I'm gonna stick around. Like I think I'm gonna go direct, which is age proof, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I do think about that. I think about like how old I am, and like when I'm pitching against other directors, and if my age comes into play at all, like if you're pitching someone that's 10 years younger than you versus 10 years older than you, I'm sure there's it affects things in a way. Like if you're pitching against someone that's 10 years older than you, but no one's ever heard of anything they've made, then you probably have the advantage, But if you're in the other way around, you probably have a disadvantage. Like you might as well get the eager young buck.
Sure.
As opposed to
look, I think that experience counts for something for sure, but also sensibilities and taste and cultural references,
Yeah.
Like certainly there are jokes that I will laugh at that skew older, and there are jokes that I'll laugh at that skew younger. But like, there's certainly stuff that like you just don't get it because, you didn't hear that song 1,000 times in high school the way a person 10 years younger did. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's definitely
Actually,
a
the
balance
only
to it.
reason I had kids was so that I can learn
Mhm.
how to be funny for young people again.
Yeah, I know you're being facetious, but there is something really funny about like you can make a K-pop Demon Hunter joke to like a group of dads and it will slay.
Right.
I said
The
like
Frozen of
I was like, hey,
2025.
I'm entering my napalm era at a birthday party the other day, and it crushed. If you said that to a 35-year-old creative director, they would just like slowly blink at you and like nervously chuckle because they don't get it for sure.
Yeah, totally. Well, anyhow, yeah, I hope, I don't know. I don't even know what to think. Yes, I'm like, I guess a little more focused on like the world war that's going on.
Yeah, you're thinking about that and not,
But
a
But it is,
studio
yeah,
lot
it
in
is
Brooklyn.
like hard to be like, oh, hey, literally my parents are in a bomb shelter and I'm on a call explaining to someone why I love their toilet paper brand so much,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it's because I'm full of shit.
Yeah, it was right there.
Anyhow, but I think that is kind of like the topic a little bit that we were going to talk about is like how to remain human while you're, doing what we all want to do, which is like be filmmakers, be simultaneously artists and craftspeople and business people, and seeing that the people that are really successful at it are the ones that are just going nonstop. Now you have a kid, you have a house, you have a wife, you have like all that trio of life milestones. And I'm sure sometimes you go on Instagram and you're like, hey, look at this person that has not any of those things. And they're just traveling all over the world, shooting a lot of incredibly awesome things that you could never do. And part of you is like jealous, right?
Yeah, I'm not jealous of people who are traveling because I still travel, you still travel, you were in Thailand, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, have you had pad thai?
I
Anyhow,
have,
go
I
on.
love it. But, it's less that. To me, I'm more jealous of people who don't need the money as much, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just
There,
spending
yeah.
twice as much money as I used to spend. And so, like,
Mhm.
I had a
Now
good
that
year
you're
last
drinking
year.
whole milk,
Now that I'm drinking whole milk,
it's twice as expensive as 2%.
no, no, but seriously, right? Like just between a mortgage and I had a cheap apartment that I loved. Now I've got a mortgage that's twice as much money, and then I have daycare. So
Mhm.
those two things right there just make my life expensive enough to feel frustrated that even when I'm having a great year, I still feel behind financially in a way that I used to feel like, oh yeah, great, no problem. Let's go out to dinner all the time. Who cares? And now I'm just much more conscientious of all that stuff, even though I'm succeeding. Like that's the thing that bothers me. And it's the thing that depresses me about Hollywood in general. Cause like we know a lot of like successful writers and showrunners. And in the 90s, those people would be rich. They'd be
Yeah.
like House in Bel Air rich. And now they live good lives, but like, our kids all go to the same preschool and when you're a showrunner of 8 episodes of television per season, that means that you have like a modest home in Studio City and not a mansion. And I'm not saying that I want a mansion. I'm saying it's frustrating when I see friends who have are in the 1% of success, who not only staffed on shows enough, like they are running small corporations for mega corporations, and they still are not just flush
Like
with
high on the
cash.
hog.
Eye on the hog.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Like,
I think,
if they're
the
not rich,
crazy
then
thing,
who's getting rich? No one.
yeah. Well, over the past month, we lost two actors that are great actors that have been around forever, James Vanderbeek and Eric Dane. And both of them, and again, I get a lot of my news from social media, so I could be totally wrong, but from what I understood, both of them had GoFundMes for their families. And you're like, these are two incredibly famous, successful actors. One of them was McSteamy, one of them is Dawson from Dawson's Creek.
Shows
And
in syndication, which used to mean
yeah,
you could write your own check. Yeah.
somehow these guys and SAG and residuals and acting and how the whole industry works were not, wealthy enough to just be like flush, to have their whole entire family set for the rest of the time or something. I
think
think the fact that these guys had GoFundMes was unexpected, to say the least.
The thing is very clear, though, right? It's that the residuals that you get for streaming versus the residuals you would get from syndication are wildly different. So you could have a show on Nick at Night for 5 years and be really comfortable, or you could have the whole world watch your show and collect like a
On
small check.
HBO. Yeah.
And then need a GoFundMe.
Yeah. I mean, my wife, Kara, she was on Hacks, which won Best Ensemble, like 3 years in a row. And then she was at the studio now that also won Best Ensemble. And she had like 2 lines, maybe 4 lines on Big Bang Theory, like 8 years, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that paid her 20 times as much as Hacks and these other award-winning shows. It's crazy how little actors get paid for being on these like hit, premiere streaming shows. But anyway, I digress. But I think something that we were, one of the terms that we talked about when we were planning out what we talk about on this episode is this idea of compare and despair, which how would you define it?
Yeah. I mean, the person who will love that I'm going to bring her up, the person who really like cemented that term for me is our old friend Carlin Hudson, who periodically will go off of social media. She like turns off Instagram because compare and despair, I think, is that process that as directors we go through a lot of feeling like you're in a rut, feeling like you're not working as much as you want, or you're not as productive as you want, or as creative as you want to be, or whatever. And then you get onto Instagram and you see photos of you and me on set taking selfies with our old buddies, like, new work alert, all of those kind of updates that we do relatively innocently, because the reason that we post new work alert or whatever, I just posted something today on LinkedIn, was just to stay top of mind, to remind the people who make hiring decisions that we are in demand and quality directors, so hire us. But the flip side is that if you're feeling inadequate or frustrated, this is just salt in the wound, right? And so to me, compare and despair really is just hyper sharpened by social media, especially that style post.
Yeah. Well, being a filmmaker, especially if you have one job, you're like really busy, right? You're all in. You're like, casting, locations, shot list, all the things, screwing up, figuring things out. If you have 2 jobs, you're just like the most overwhelmed person in the world. You like get mad at people when they ask you if you want to have coffee with them. Coffee? When do you? I can't even see my kids. So the crazy thing is if a director is like working on 3 different things in a month, they think in their world that there's an unlimited amount of work.
Well, we're also not on social media as much, right? So we're not seeing we're not reminded of the outside world in quite the same way, right? And so we're banking all of those photos to post later when things get dry,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our way to do it. But I think because of that, like if you're in the midst of 2 different jobs, in your mind, you might go on Instagram or something and say like, oh my goodness, it's such a busy time. Great to see productions back in LA, And then Matt and Oren, who were like almost chosen for 5 of these different jobs, but just something didn't line up. We're like, there's no work at all, so I think it's the number that moves the needle in one direction or the other direction is so small. Like literally one job or 2 jobs are what's the difference between someone that's like insanely busy and someone that's insanely stressed out about not being busy. So I think that's part of it. I think with actors, it's different. With actors, it's like, oh, I had 5 auditions this week. I had 0 auditions. Like the numbers are, if you have 1 audition every 2 weeks, it's not the same busyness as a director that has 1 job every 2 weeks,
Sure.
Or even 1 opportunity to pitch every 2 weeks. So it's, I think that is troubling because when you go on social media and you see someone that's like hopping from job to job, you're like, oh, wow, I must be doing something wrong personally. And I need to re-inspect my life because I'm not hopping from job to job,
I think,
and vice versa.
And I think that I've talked about this on the show, but the thing that I maybe very high in the list of things I wish I could improve about myself is the way I feel about myself and my general mood when I'm not working versus working. Too much of my self-worth is tied up in whether or not I'm booked. Like I wish I could just be happy when I'm not booked. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you say to people who have normal jobs, like, oh, I didn't work much this last week. And they're like, wouldn't that be great to just have some time off? What did you do? Did you read a book? Did you go for a walk? You know, and the answer is no. I emailed people, you know, I like wrote, I like brainstormed an article for LBB Online, all of which is work, right? Like, it's just not the shooting part of work, but if I could figure out how to enjoy myself during that downtime, I'd have the best life in the world, you know?
But this for a pitch. If you're not working, don't go on Instagram. If you are working, go on Instagram.
But that's when you need to go on Instagram is the problem, right? That's the catch-22 of it all. It's like, you know, I post some photos from when I'm working, like on the day when I'm working, just to keep things going. But also like the video essay about how, I actually rotoscoped this actor out and retimed them to make this thing work. And it's invisible, but this actually really is a VFX video. Can't you believe it? All those process videos, right? That book work, that stuff is all during downtime, right? Ideally, right, I'm too busy to be doing it, you know?
But I do think that that's like the tweak in thinking that can be helpful, at least for me sometimes, when I'm like, ooh, I would love to post like that process video, or I would love to make a short film, or I would love to like learn how to vibe code or whatever. And just having a list ready of things that I would really love to do if I had like 2 or 3 days open.
Sure.
And trying to find pauses in work is like exciting opportunities to do that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, really a lot of what we're talking about is that the job of being a working director is only partially pitching and shooting and editing, all the stuff that we talk about most of the time. But a large part of it also is networking, outreach, reconnecting with people, keeping relationships warm, all of that stuff is all part of it as well. But, you know, it kind of brings up the other thing that we were talking about in brainstorming this. I went and saw, with a little bit of downtime, thanks to some downtime, I went and saw the movie Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which stars and is directed by this guy, Matt Johnson, who's kind of a gonzo documentarian. That's maybe a little derivative of what derisive of what he's saying, but you know, kind of a really unique Canadian voice, who I should mention, you know, is a huge advocate for public funded arts. Like his show, his web series, Nirvana, the band, the show, would not be profitable in a purely capitalist sense. It is cult, it is niche, it is very cheap, but I think he subsists off of the Canadian government paying for his show, basically. Anyway, after that, I kind of was poking around on Letterboxd, reading reviews and all of that stuff, and saw he had a post where he talks a little bit about how influential this documentary comedian, the Jerry Seinfeld documentary comedian, was on him, in that it was a piece of art that really explicitly said how not only is it okay, but it can be fulfilling for an actor, for a creative, to give themselves over to the idea of their art being a fulfilling part of their lives. That workaholism isn't necessarily bad if it's nourishing. If you know, being obsessed with the thing that you love to do isn't necessarily bad. And I think that you and I struggle with the idea of being a workaholic, right? Now, Matt Johnson, I don't think has kids, which I think is a really different layer to it all. But I love to work. Kind of all I've ever wanted to do. I never told you before.
I mean, there's that whole saying, right?
I had a real problem with one of my best friends in high school. Like, we had like a big fight about how he was like, you only call me to like shoot videos and make the website for our production company, and you know, as sophomores in high school. And I was like, I hear you, but that's all I want to do. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that saying, if you love what you do, then it's not work, or something.
Sure.
Something to that effect.
Yeah. You never work a day in your life or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think there's that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I feel like I used to be a workaholic. I don't think I'm a workaholic now.
That's an insane thing to say. You're 100% a workaholic.
Yeah, I guess I'm a workaholic with boundaries, maybe. Like, from 7 a.m. to 7:52 a.m. every morning I'm with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
How could a workaholic be with their kids at any time of day?
Yeah.
In the evening, I'm hanging out with my, I do.
Oren, you and I text about this podcast during those times all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun though. It's not work.
Sure. That's
Podcast.
exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. The podcast where we talk about how much we like to work or complain about not working.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I think we already talked about this, how like Spike Jonze and that commercial directors panel was saying how he directs like 2 things a year, two commercials a year, and how he basically only directs a commercial if it's really awesome, and people come to him and it's like he really connects with it. And a lot of those directors do, and it's because their side projects or their other projects are more, like they're only working on things that are fulfilling to them. And I think that's kind of like my next goal in life is to be like, yeah, this script isn't good, or this project doesn't sound like, you and I will say like, well, this isn't going to go on the site. This isn't going to go on the reel. It's a job you're taking, but it's not really going to be a showpiece. And I think someone like Spike Jonze only takes jobs that might turn into showpieces,
I can't speak for Spike, but if it were me, like the reason that I will take work, there's 2 reasons that I would turn down work, or rather there's 2 conditions where I have to be fine with it and then I can turn down work. 1, work needs to be coming to me regularly. Like if I don't feel like there's a scarcity of opportunities, right? If you're Spike Jonze, you're kind of at the top of literally every creative director's list, right? Like I can't think of a single person who wouldn't love. It would be the height of their career to work with that guy, right? So he's not lacking opportunity, right? And then the other thing is financial freedom, right? So if you've made enough money that you're not worried about making more money and you have plenty of opportunities, then it's very easy to say no to projects, right? But if you need money and the main way that you make money is by doing these projects and we're still fighting to get them, it's a lot harder to turn things down.
Yeah. I mean, unless those side projects are also finding, like I think for Spike, if he's working on a feature, he's a guy that's like Oscar-winning feature screenwriter, then it's worth, you can say like, hey, I'm going to invest my time into this other project that might make me money as well.
And this it's so interesting that you're saying this, Ron, because I feel like you'd kind of been singing a different tune for the last 4 or 5 years. But like,
I have, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think the reason that I am still so gung-ho on features is manifold. 1, it's nourishing, but 2, I think that it is the reason why you end up at the top of people's lists, right? And then this is all informed by my time when I was at the Directors Bureau, when people like Mike Mills and Roman Coppola were making their features, and people were like, oh, well, I want to work with them even more because I loved their movie. So like a different era for sure. But
definitely different. We have a friend that had like a pretty successful movie last year that just texted both of us and said, hey, I need to shoot some commercials. So what should I do?
Sure.
And I don't know, the fact that movie existed is going to help this. I mean, it certainly won't hurt. And if maybe a commercial comes along that's like the exact same genre as the movie that they made, it's helpful. But I think it's a different.
I think, look, I just lost a job last week on Friday. We were recording on Monday, so not many days ago, to a director who the top thing on his website is a movie that I've seen. So, but you're right. It's not like, look, if you're winning Oscars, it's different than if you're like, hey, I won South by or something like that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or I played South by,
yeah. Or played South by, even worse. Yeah. Which is still so hard to do. But I think if it makes me happy, and if I'm trying my hardest to do the best work that I can with the reel that I've got and the opportunities and connections that I have, if I'm striving as hard as I can to make those as cool as I possibly can to create more work and to be happy, then the other thing you can be doing in parallel are these side projects, right? And so that's part of the reason why I think the features are worthwhile.
Right. And I mean, I guess I feel like the reason I'm changing my tune is, but I don't think I'm really changing my tune is because to me, a feature, it's just really hard for me to see the connection between making your, $250,000 feature and that leading to income,
Sure.
but I do see,
But
when
I'm
we
not
spoke
making
earlier today,
I'm not making a $250,000 feature though, for the record, right?
okay, 500, that, whatever
Sure.
your sub $1 million fee, like, I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm saying just in
Sure.
general, but I can see, when we talked earlier today, you told me an idea you had for like a side business, and which was more about the experience of doing it than about the money it makes. But to me, that has a clearer avenue for at least paying for itself and paying for the time that you put into
Yeah.
it. And to me, that's like, how cool is it when you are on a call talking to someone about directing their film and they bring up a restaurant and you're like, oh, by the way, I own a restaurant, or by the
Sure.
way, I fix bikes, or by the way, I'm a carpenter, like
Mhm.
those other things like instantly make you more interesting. And, every creative director collects sneakers or whatever, there's like these kind
Watches.
of cliche
Watches.
things
My favorite. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
people do, but there's things that not only are like can be a fun distraction from the compare and despair of our career, but can also ultimately make you a more interesting person and potentially even like help pay for some of the stuff like if you are a fine artist or a photographer or you love freaking fixing people's sprinkler systems, whatever, that brings you joy. Like you
I
talking about how
do
much
love
you love
fixing
weeding.
I do love fixing for sprinkler systems. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, or I mean, I
Yeah.
told you my biggest satisfaction this week was putting together a shed in my backyard. Like, there's ways to do things that are outside of like our filmmaking that are valuable. And I think, I mean, I did write, I think, an LBB article about, or maybe it was Shots Magazine. I forget where it was, about kind of using my family for pitches. Like that, my playtime with my family can sometimes turn into like a useful way to make
Mhm.
myself an interesting person when I'm trying to,
Mhm.
foment new relationships. Anyhow,
Like a
I don't
workaholic.
know. I think what we're saying is it's good to have other unrelated things going on.
Yeah. And so I think the reason that we've kind of started to
Felicity.
talk about this, the reason that we started even on this topic in the first place when we were brainstorming it was that the flip side of all of this is that I feel relatively untethered, right? Like last week I wrote some new spots for a producer. I pitched on a couple things. I'm fundraising a feature. I've got this side project that I'm kind of getting excited about that's really fun. And, creatively, it's all these things that I've dreamt of kind of thinking about learning and tweaking and, working on. And all of a sudden I'm like looking at schematics and writing story trees and all this kind of side project stuff. And it's so hard to know what to prioritize on any given day because you're jumping from an investment meeting to writing sprint to picking up your kids. And you kind of at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're like,
And
do I
then you
give
run into like another dad and they're like, so what are you up to? And you're like,
you're like,
uh,
I like literally,
nothing,
yeah,
everything, a bunch
yeah,
of stuff. It's hard to, like you said, when you have one big project and you're shooting your feature, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm preparing. We're going to go into production in a month. But when you have 50 things, it's like, you feel like you have nothing.
or even six, yeah.
Mm.
So do you have any ways of coping with those challenges?
Well, you know me, I like to talk. So usually I'll be like, okay, well, I have 6 things going on. And by like
Mhm.
the third thing, their eyes glaze over and they decide to never ask me what I'm up to ever again. But
So sorry, let's
no,
push. I want to press into on that a little bit. How does talking help about it? Talking about it help?
well, I guess it makes me feel like I have a lot of stuff going on, even if
Mhm.
I'm just telling someone else about the things I have going on. I also, I'm pretty good, I think, at having like a network of other directors, people that do what
Mhm.
we do, that I can call and I can just like rant to. And like today, I was complaining to Carlin about something. I'm working on a treatment. I was like, hey, can I like just talk to you about these scripts for a minute? And I started complaining to her about some job I pitched on. I told you about it too. And I was like, I know like, I know I shouldn't complain. I know I had like a really good year and I work a lot and like a lot of people have it way worse than me. But I just like, and she's like, dude, you can complain to me. Like I'm the
Yeah.
person you can complain to about that. And it made me feel really good. And, just having like a network of people that are in your same position, or maybe they don't want to hear about like your idea for your feature that you just switched from your other feature that, is, but they'll understand it at least, and so I think to me that like that's one way I cope about it is just like calling friends and talking to them about it. But yeah, I mean, my other way is like kind of mean, but like I try to think of all the people I know that have nothing going on, and I'm like, hey, at least I'm not them.
It could be that guy.
Yeah,
I think that might be a version of gratitude.
yeah.
If
No,
you
it's
maybe,
reminding yourself to not
yeah,
compare.
yeah. I like that. Okay,
I mean,
I
you can
think,
compare and thrive if you compare
yeah,
with the right
sure,
people.
sure. Yeah, if competition drives you, then maybe that's helpful. Yeah,
Yeah, you're like, I haven't seen Tom Morris post on Instagram for a couple days. He must be really struggling.
I think he's on something right now. But yeah, I think to me, time blocking has been the main thing, and because I'm juggling so much. But the other big thing, and stop me if I've said this on the podcast before, but I love this productivity guru Ali Abdaal, and he talks about, like, Steve Jobs was famous for figuring out the signal to noise ratio in his life, right? Have you essentially, like, Steve Jobs could very clearly pinpoint the important thing in his life, and he would ignore everything else. So the one thing he needed to do every single day in order to actually invent the iMac or the iPad or the whatever, he did that. And everything else, he would get to, right? But asking yourself, what's the thing? What's the main thing I want to do? To, like, if I had to pick one thing, what's my real goal? What do I want to get that done today? Sometimes it'll be two or three things, but, like, if you just can be concise with that, then you're pushing the ball up the hill in some way.
And you do that?
Yeah. Every morning
Yeah.
before my kid wakes up, I sit with my notebook and write those things. And I try to do like a brain dump at the beginning of the week of, like, here's everything I want to get done. And then you can kind of time block it to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to get this done till Thursday, but I know I have an hour set aside for it. And then inevitably when something comes up, where someone tries to schedule over top of that, you can still move it. It's on the calendar. So potentially it'll get done. I think I'm still too optimistic about it, honestly. Like, it's like 2 writing sprints and lunch with my wife, and then, 15 minutes of gardening, and, because it's nice to get a recharge, all that. Like, and then your day is just like wall to wall stacked. You have to add buffer time in for sure, because gear shifts are real, and, it just takes a little bit of time to get into something, and things always take longer than you want them to. So, but when you time block, and you drop your kid off at 9 and you pick them up at 5, and you have a client meeting and notes due, your day just disappears really quickly, and so it forces you to be selective on what you actually want to get done.
Yeah. I've learned to accept that I do not get anything substantial done during the day. I just, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., like, I will not accomplish. I'll have meetings, which I don't think are very valuable, thing to spend my time doing. It's like during the day, I'm just taking in data, that's like all I'm doing. And then at night, after the kids are asleep, that's when I'm like creating things. That's when I'm writing stuff. That's when I'm brainstorming. That's when I'm like putting together decks or treatments or edits or anything.
So it's 9:30 right now, 9:30 p.m. How much later are you have a treatment you have to write tonight?
I have a treatment that I have to write. Yeah. I'll do, well, so I'm in San Diego right now. I have a shoot here on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. And my wife was like,
get a burrito with French fries in it.
Oh, I should. There's a place called like Roberto's, and it's like a little chain here that I've seen like in a couple different places that I'm very tempted to go. But
there's a luchador themed taco place that will give you a breakfast burrito with a fried egg in it and one Comic-Con that saved my life. It's great. Yeah.
Anyway, but my wife was like, was technically only supposed to come here tomorrow for the Tech Scout, like leave really early in the morning, but I have like a couple of pre-production meetings. I have all this stuff that I was like, she was like, why don't you just go a day early? And then you'll have like all day in San Diego, and you'll have like no distractions, and you can work on your treatment. And I'm completely incapable of like just sitting in my hotel room at like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and just writing the treatment. It's like daylight outside. I don't know. So what I did today is I just started walking around La Jolla. I walked to the beach, and I just had my phone out with the Notes app, and I
that's work though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I very proactively did not have my AirPods in. I like no music, no podcast, no
just
anything.
Thinking. Yeah.
And not just thinking, but also like with very little pressure of how much I want to accomplish. Like I knew that I wanted to write like the intro, and I wanted to write about the tone, and I have like a little brainstorming section in my notes where I just wanted to throw out random ideas that come to mind. But I also was very much like trying to look up and like look at people and look at the world and look at the vehicles and the stores and the signs and the architecture.
Art around. Yeah.
Yeah. And to try to do that in a way where I know I'm thinking about this project in my mind while I'm
You're
doing
selling
this.
toilet paper, but yeah.
But I'm trying to like open up my brain to the world in some way. And this is kind of the last thing on our list that I want to talk about is like idea generation, which is I find it much easier to come up with ideas. I mean, everyone says this, but when I'm not trying to come up with ideas,
sure.
But it's really hard to come up with ideas when I'm listening to a podcast, but it's easier to come up with ideas if I'm just driving or that's why the shower is like so powerful for so many people, right? Is because
I've been thinking about this LBB online article for 2 weeks and I came up with it today in the shower.
Yeah, because it's like it's so easy nowadays to just have like YouTube videos pumping into your eyeballs. You can be on a phone call with someone for hours. You can be listening to a podcast. You can be reading the news. You could be hanging out with someone. It's like that like time of just like letting your brain do its thing is like so rare. And so I feel like my treatment is, I haven't quite cracked it yet, but I've like laid a lot of foundation out just walking around. I've like already have the whole outline written out. I have like my list of words that I'm going to, probably when we hang up, I'm going to do like, I've done like a preliminary image search, but I'm going to do like more. There's like a spokesperson here. So I'm probably just going to like watch spokesperson things. There's like an element that has to do with plumbing in this campaign. I'm going to just like watch plumbing videos. I was actually going to go on Google Maps and just like look for different plumbing offices and stuff, like plumber companies, and just click on their Google reports pages and see if I can see photos of what they look like to just give us ideas.
Sure, real.
I think it's like, I'm trying to connect all these things we've talked about together, and I don't know if it's quite working, but I think there is something about you worrying about filmmaking that helps make you a better filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I've been gardening so much. It makes me think of, I love bringing up David Lynch, but a clip of him just went viral again of him just complaining. Just like, he's just shouting at people. Like, I think he's shouting at his producers. He's chain smoking. And then he's like, I had 2 fucking days to shoot that scene. I can't work like this. I'm not going to do it anymore. And he's just shouting about the schedule. And his complaint is that he does not have the time to just get dreamy. He just feels like, I'm skewed into this schedule where I just have to shoot the shots that we have planned. And that's all I can do. And I can't play. Right. And I'm doing an impression and he's got the hair and the cigarette and the black jacket and everything. But if the most famous filmmaking, transcendental meditation, art film director who also somehow has like Hollywood movie stars and hit films doesn't have time in his schedule to like go dreamy, then what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. Except, he has like 10 times as much time as we do. No matter how much time you have, you think it's not enough.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I guess what I'm getting at is like the point of David Lynch making a movie is to be weird and to go dreamy and to be spontaneous and to find that stuff. In a commercial, obviously, you have to run it by so many stakeholders that like that kind of woo-woo sort of stuff just doesn't make sense, right? But dang, you'd hope that somebody would be able to get to do it.
Did you know that Twin Peaks was originally a movie? And nobody wanted to buy it, so they like remade it into a TV show.
Makes sense. And then it became a movie again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious what other people think about how they balance their life, what they think about imposter syndrome, compare and despair. Let us know your thoughts. Tony, text me. Tell me what you think of this episode. He's been giving me a nice play-by-play every week about what he likes or doesn't like the episode. Can I just totally change the subject real quick? Because I just got a text from a producer I'm working with on a different shoot. And I told the costume stylist, I'm just curious, I never knew this. I told the stylist that I really liked what most of the actors wore to their auditions. I thought that they were really kind of helped define their characters. And I think a big part of why they booked the job was because of what they wore and to have them bring their casting, their casting outfit. It is a SAG job. And now the producer just texted me She said, we have to pay the actors to bring their audition outfits, even if we don't use them. So I just wanted to confirm who are the priorities to bring their audition outfits.
Yeah, there's
Did you
also
know that?
I did know that, and also like if you bring more than a certain amount of pieces of like garments,
You get an award.
Yeah,
But I didn't know that like if you,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess it's like you're going to have to show up dressed as something, right?
sure. Is it specifically that you're asking them to show up in the stuff that they wore, or
Yeah.
is
I'm like,
that extra?
I liked what you wore in your audition. Maybe bring that as an option. But I probably wouldn't have said that if I thought that we would have to pay for it. I thought it was like,
Right.
hey, okay, you have a cool tie and a cool shirt.
Yeah,
Well,
sure. Yeah,
t-shirt and-
this jacket, I know this fits you perfectly in
Yeah.
the way that you like. Like, bring that along. Yeah. Yeah.
How much does that
Oh.
cost? Is it like $5 or is it like $50?
I think it's like $50.
Okay, well now I do have some work to do tonight. I have to go through all the actors we cast and figure out
Thumbs
who's
up on this sweater,
outfit.
thumbs down on those jeans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm like, I kind of was just trying to use their audition outfits as inspiration for the stylist. But sometimes when, we don't have a giant budget here, and when they're getting all their clothes at Target and they came in wearing a nice J. Crew sweater or whatever, that J. Crew sweater is probably going to look better on them.
Or just like the cut works, or, knowing the spot a little bit, like not everything makes sense to source from a regular retailer, whether that's Target or H&M or, whatever, Zara or Nordstrom Rack, right? Like, sometimes you want stuff that's a little bit zanier. So, well, good luck to you. Oren, do you have a few more minutes to endorse with us?
Yeah, of course.
Unpaid endorsements.
Oren, you're in front of your laptop right now. I want you to go to open up your Gmail.
Okay. Open.
Now, when you open up Gmail, you're going to see the URL kind of gives you that chain of whatever. It's mail like google.com/mail/u/0/#inbox.
Yep.
I want you to change from #inbox to #SUB.
SUB? Sub?
Yep.
Okay. Subscriptions. Ooh.
That is every single subscription that you are subscribed to right now. If you scroll through. So these are all of the different newsletters and marketing emails that you are subscribed to in one clean list that shows you how many emails you've received from them recently and has the unsubscribe button right there.
Wow. Yep. It's cool.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. As a person who's obsessed with their email and keeping it as clean as possible, the spam emails or even emails you did sign up for, they can be pretty oppressive. So if you go to mail.google.com/mail, basically when you sign into your email, change it from #inbox to #sub, and you will immediately see everything you are subscribed to. And you can easily subscribe to all of it.
Awesome. That's a good one. That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oren level.
Yeah.
Tech tip. Is that all you got?
I'm going to save the other ones for later. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have two crappy ones then. One is a new flavor of chips from Trader Joe's. God, can I find it? I just want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Yeah. So have you tried these Thai style yellow curry flavored potato chips?
No, that sounds like my shit though. I like the Thai style Doritos. I friggin' love.
So
I'm sure
I'm not familiar with the Thai style Doritos. Are they literally made by the Doritos folks?
Yeah, it's the Dorito. It's the purple bags. Oftentimes you will see them in the variety packs. So they're like spicy with like a little lime. They're really good. They're really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, these are the Thai style yellow curry flavored potato chips. They are limited time. So when I tasted them, I was like, I can tell that these are going to be a limited time item because they're really interesting. And there's a difference between like interesting and
a regular snack. Yeah.
But if you are into yellow curry, these chips taste exactly like yellow curry, like Thai curry. So I don't know, check them out. It's a fun adventure. What I would recommend is don't tell people what the flavor is and just hand somebody a chip and see if they can place it. Because it's a pretty good fit for the flavor.
That's what I do with my daughter all the time. I'll be like, can you taste what spices are in this? And her palate's pretty great and pretty impressed. Yeah, she can identify a lot of good stuff. And it makes it, she's pretty good about trying things, but that curiosity factor, I think, is part of it. Like, oh, it's a challenge. Like, this is an opportunity for me to tell you if that's cardamom or not,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
My other recommendation endorsement, it's stupid because everyone already likes it, but I really enjoyed A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It's the Game of Thrones midquel. I don't know, what do you call a series that fits between the last
think you
two
could still
series?
call it a prequel, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it's a prequel in the Game of Thrones. It's a sequel to House of the Dragon. It has characters.
Could I watch it without having watched House of the Dragon?
You absolutely could. I actually, come to think of it, don't really know of much of a connection between House of the Dragon and that show. The only thing is, and I don't think this is like a big spoiler, but there are no dragons in the first season, and they kind of talk about dragons as non-existent, and there 100% are dragons in House of the Dragon. So all I'm saying is that it tells you that at some point between those two series, dragons kind of became extinct. And so that might give you hints as to what's coming up on House of the Dragon, maybe. I don't know. But but you don't really know. There are characters, descendants of characters that will be in Game of Thrones.
You recognize last names here and there. Yeah.
Gotcha. But it's cool. I mean, there's Targaryens and they talk of dragons, but it's a really simple story. It's only 6 episodes. They're really simple. 3 of them were directed by our friend Sarah Dina Smith, who I think I told you I emailed her to tell her how much I love the episodes, and it turned out I emailed the wrong Sarah Smith. But just like a tip, if you're watching an HBO show, especially like a show like that's got like a big built-in fan base. I'm sure most people know this, but you know how most streaming networks like will push you to the next episode like as soon as the episode ends? But on HBO, if you force your cursor back onto the
you can watch
like picture in picture, where the credits are, you can watch through the credits, through the like all the weird foreign credits, and then it will play the like episode analysis from like the creators. It's like a 5-minute featurette or whatever about the episode. And I just love those. I mean, it's not as good as like a behind the scenes Blu-rays special.
Sure, but it's in the same space. Yeah, Bobby Lamb, if those are in LA, he shoots those.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
It just kind of depends on if they're in town.
Yeah. That show specifically, you really want. It's nice when an expert is like, by the way, this family, like now we see that this family is really turning against this family. They're giving you like the subtext that is sometimes hard to get on your own.
Sure.
Anyhow, I really enjoyed that show, and it's like 6 half-hour episodes. You could watch it in like one night, maybe 2 nights.
Sounds fun.
So anyhow, well, Matt,
we did it.
Yeah, if you guys want to tell us what super obvious shows to watch, you can email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com.
Or if you have like hobbies or tricks to being a fully formed, fully fledged person and not just insane workaholic, or maybe think that that's okay, let us know.
Yeah, at justshootitpod on Instagram. And you can follow me on Instagram also. I'm at okaplan.
And I'm at Mr. Maddenlow. This episode was edited by Kevin Oyenkman. Social media is by Lily Bouvier. Thanks, Lily. Produced by Tyler Small. Thanks, Tyler. And you're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist, Jazar. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.